Nasrallah was a triumph for Israeli intelligence, but it also raises many questions. Joining me now from Tel Aviv is Ronen Bergman, a staff writer for the New York Times Magazine. Ronen, welcome. You are fantastic at reporting on these kinds of issues. How did Israel's intelligence figure out where Nasrallah was? And explain this operation, because it seems like they've been trying to do this for years. How did they succeed?
They were deterred from doing that because they were very much afraid of an all-out war with Hizbollah and were afraid of the gloomy consequences as the war between the IDF and Hizbollah back in 2006. But they were preparing for that moment. And this is a 15 years long operations to be deeply penetrating the inner circle of secrets of Hezbollah. And just to give it an example, on October 10th, the IDF brought a plan to kill Nasrallah in a bunker in Beirut. Nasrallah, this was not executed because of American pressure, and Prime Minister Netanyahu didn't want that. But Nasrallah has been moved to a much secure bunker later that year, and the Israelis knew that he's there, that the whole war room was moved to that place, and knew when he's going to come, when he's going to chair this meeting of the Jihad Council. Not just he was killed, but many of his lieutenants and Iranian generals were killed as well. The Israelis dropped 83 bombs, some of them bunker busters, in order to verify that everybody are dead.
So it does feel to me like you're right, that they've had the capacity and capability. This is the war they've been planning, as opposed to the Gaza one that took them by surprise. And what the Hezbollah seems to have miscalculated on, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, is that Israel was frustrated by this idea of having this, this low-grade war in the north, where its people, 60,000 Israelis displaced, they couldn't get back. They already have a low-grade war in Gaza where they can't, they're finding themselves mired. And so here what Israel decided was, we're going to do something very aggressive to break this dynamic and, take advantage of all this intelligence we have. Is that a fundamental shift in Israeli thinking, that that they're willing now to take risks they were not?
Well, sometimes in history, things just happening by coincidence. In that case, the operation of selling Hezbollah 45,000 booby-trapped pagers was just about to be discovered, exposed by Hezbollah. Someone got suspicious. And the chief of Mossad came to Prime Minister Netanyahu and said, if we do not pull the trigger in a few days, this will be revealed. And probably because this is exposed, they will look at anything they bought from foreign companies, any communication, and they will expose the other operation that preceded that one of the walkie-talkie. One thing led to another, but it's also a deep miscalculation by the late Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah. And amazingly, it's the same miscalculation he did in 2006. In 2006, he continuously tried to kidnap Israeli soldiers to exchange them for Hezbollah prisoners in Israeli prisons. And he didn't listen to any kind of warning that there will be a critical mass after which Israel will go to an all-out war. This time, for a year, he launched an unprovoked war against Israel on low intensity. He believed, and the Iranians believed, that Israel will be very hesitant and will never go to all-out war because the Israelis are afraid of the toll this will take on Israeli cities and critical infrastructure. He was right for a year, but at the end he got it totally wrong. There was that critical mass after which Israel just went into the offense. And as you said, for it, the war that Israel has been planning for 18 years, that's the war they wanted to fight, no hostages around, and they were ready, and the consequences that they were much more ready than Hezbollah.
It's fascinating what you say, Ronan, about the happenstance of it, because it does seem like the trigger was the fact that these pagers and cell phones were going to be discovered, and then they decided, well, if we're going to use these, it seems that they said we might as well go through with the plan we had, which was because this was stage one. It kills all communications. It allows for phase two, which is destroy the weapons caches and the miner commanders, and then they went for phase three. But what is the next phase in your view? So Israel has achieved this extraordinary success, really decimated Hezbollah. Now what do they do to keep it decimated? In other words, this has always been part of what deterred them. They don't want to go back into southern Lebanon and occupy it, which they did for years and years and left after a deep frustration. What is the thinking about what Israel's next step is?
There is a debate. One commander, the chief commander of the Northern Front, and his lieutenants are in favor of going all in with ground maneuver. Other officers are saying, look, we have been failing in doing that for twice in the past, in 82 and then in 2006. We should not go into this death trap. We, Israel, they say, is able to take down Hezbollah on its knees just using air power and special operations. The question is, by the way, and I presented that question to many of the decision-making leaders of the military, the intelligence, the political level. Israel has promised just 2 weeks ago, just before all of this new wave of attacks, the changing of the focus to the Northern Front, leaving behind the Southern Front, this ongoing, gloomy, destructive war, and the hostages that Prime Minister Netanyahu has put on a very low priority, preferring the integrity of his coalition. Now, Israel has put a very clear target on, a new target on the goals of the war, which is to bring back the 100,000 refugees that left their homes in the villages and the cities and the kibbutzes in the north. Let them go back, live there, and live there safely and quietly for many, many years. And I'm not sure that there is a clear line connecting these very successful military raids and sophisticated special operations and James Bond, Fauda, Tehran style, booby-trapped pages operation with how exactly Israel is going to make sure that those 100,000 that suffered unbelievable misery during the last year will be able to continue their lives across the along the border between Israel and Lebanon. And I'm not sure that Israel has a strategy, has an exit strategy, how to translate those significant successes. They, as you said, they decimated Hezbollah, and they will continue to do that in the next. They are assassinating people all the time, and they are trying to take down as much of the reserves of Hezbollah. Started this war with 150,000 rockets and missiles, but between this and a political solution, there is still a very long road. And Israeli officials saying we need a mature grown-up. Basically, we need the U.S. government, but the U.S. government, the administration is now dealing mainly, they believe, with the elections. And so not necessarily an honest broker that would be investing all of its time and resources is to be found, at least for now.
And very quickly and finally, Ronan, what does this mean for the next steps for Bibi Netanyahu? The feeling was that he was under pressure, he was under siege, he had to try and, there was concerns about him being held accountable for October 7th. He has, his trials going on. has he once again found another life? Because his approval ratings are up, people support this mission. Has Bibi outwitted all his opponents one more time?
I am very bad with assessing the future. But this week has been, I'm sure that Netanyahu concludes the last 11 days of attacking the North is good for his political career, and he seems to be very much concerned with that future, with his career, with the integrity of his coalition. And I'm sure that the next polls of the Israeli public will show an increase in the support of Netanyahu and the Likud party that he's leading. But at the end of the day, there are serious challenges to Israel, to the Israeli economy, to the Israeli military that were not solved when they exploded those pages. There are 100 possible.
I gotta let you go. I'm sorry, so sorry, and I gotta let you go. We are gonna come back to you for sure in the coming weeks to help us understand all this. Thank you.